Building a wall between Canada and the U.S. would be the best thing that ever happened in Canada. Not because the U.S. is bad, but because it's too easy for your creative talent and your economic producers to flee when things get bad here. And there should be a wall around Canada. And smart Canadians, if they stayed, and a lot have stayed, of course, but you've lost a lot of great people, and I know them because they live in my country. And
I don't think that Pierre Poilievre thinks that your money is his.
One Mark Carney is one of the world's prime advocates of the insane inanities of net zero. He is a man who has planned in writing, not least in his best-selling book, Values, the complete destruction of the fossil fuel industry. Bye-bye, Alberta.
On Chrystia Freeland, who I knew as a journalist working in Washington 20 years ago. She was at the Financial Times. I mean, I really feel like people need to be very direct. No, this person has no moral authority over me at all. She is not qualified to even speak to me.
Oh, yeah.
Gang, what is up? Aaron, Canadian Looney. We've got Tucker Carlson, one of the most outrageous journalists that there is. He has some pretty wild ideas about Canada. We also have Jordan Peterson, who is one of our favorites to watch on this channel. He seems to be pretty popular around here. And he is going to break down Pierre Poilievre, Mark Carney, the situation in Canada. Let's kick this off. Hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments. Like, share, subscribe. Let's go.
We might also note in that regard that the newly ordained and inevitable grand poobah of the currently wretched but still dangerously powerful Liberals, one Mark Carney, is one of the world's prime advocates of the insane inanities of net zero. He is a man who has planned in writing, not least in his best-selling book, Values, the complete destruction of the fossil fuel industry. Bye-bye, Alberta. If that's not bad enough, and it is, he's also simultaneously an advocate of the same post-national view of Canada defined by Trudeau Jr. and his moralistic minions. What are we, according to such good thinkers? Nothing. But if anything, the oppressive, patriarchal, white, supremacist, identityless, colonial settler state defined by the progressive ideologues in the think tanks and elite dining rooms in Eastern Canada and the protest encampments on the campuses of Canadian universities. None of this fills the MAGA crowd with admiration, in case it needs to be said. None of it bodes well either for the economy of Canada, doomed to replacement, according to Carney, by the hydrogen, solar, and wind power that either does not exist, that would be hydrogen, or that would doom Canadians to starve and freeze in the dark if it ever came to replace the reliable grid and transportation we all so desperately depend on when it's 40 bloody below. We may, when arguing so expensively and incompetently with the Americans, continue to congratulate ourselves on our comparative righteousness. That diet will become even thinner gruel, however, in a future characterized by their explosive economic growth and our rapid descent toward comparative poverty and irrelevance, green though that pathway may be argued, however falsely to be. Carney, to put it bluntly, is not a man like Justin Trudeau, a second-rater, under the mere influence of the World Economic Forum, that Malthusian, fear-mongering cabal of authoritarian elitists, drunk on the fumes of their own self-righteous delusions. He is, by contrast, a veritable leader of that movement, an organizer par excellence of ESG, stakeholder capitalism, diversity, equity, and inclusiveness, and degrowth. Out with the old, the Liberals claim, and in with the new. But the new will be everything Trudeau so terribly was, but a lot more efficiently.
Oh, yeah.
With very short notice, Jordan and Tucker have been told that I'm going to provide them with kind of some cryptic words, a couple of sentences, and they're stuck with two-sentence answers. Jordan, have you ever been cryptic?
Yes.
There, that was it. The first time I've ever seen him, or the first time I've ever seen him cryptic. Tucker, you can do this?
I used to write haiku as a child, so yes.
All right. Well, let's see where this goes. Let's start with Tucker. Joe and Kamala, 2 sentences.
Lovely couple on their way out.
Jordan, Christian, Christia, and Justin. And you can think about this one.
A little narcissistic for my liking.
We got a lot of this. We're going to have some fun here. Donald Trump.
I'll speak in sentences. Orange, ascendant. No, I would say, if you want to know who Trump is, watch the reaction to Trump. I mean, that's really it. I think Trump is politically immoderate. And I think that not because I'm totally crazy. I think I'm pretty moderate too, to be honest. I don't want radical change. But neither does Trump. And they're treating him like he's a Nazi, and that says everything about them.
Loud and clear. Jordan, Pierre Poilievre, or Poilievre if you wish.
I'll tell you a quick story about Mr. Poilievre, a couple of sentences. I met him at the residence of the opposition, and I met his wife, who I thought was a very solid person. And one of the concerns they expressed to my wife and I while I was there was the expense that they had racked up at the expense of the Canadian taxpayer for moving them into Stornoway, into the residence. And I thought 2 things. I thought, all things considered, you probably have more important things to prioritize. But the fact that that actually bothers you and that was genuine and unprompted is a good sign, because I don't think that Pierre Poilievre thinks that your money is his. Oh, yeah. Or that he knows what to do with it more than you do. Right.
Tucker, Vivek Ramaswamy. He wants to build a wall between Canada and the U.S. Any thoughts on that?
Building a wall between Canada and the U.S. would be the best thing that ever happened in Canada. Not because the U.S. is bad, but because it's too easy for your creative talent and your economic producers to flee when things get bad here. And there should be a wall around Canada. And smart Canadians, if they stayed, and a lot have stayed, of course, but you've lost a lot of great people, and I know them because they live in my country. And I'm in the creative business. My business is filled with Canadians. And I always say, like, why couldn't you do it in Canada? Because it's state media. No creativity allowed, only racist, tranny, climate. That's it. And so I think it would be great for Canada. I mean that.
We'll try not to make the wall too high. Jordan, the Freedom Convoy. It's been an interesting... Whoa. Sit down. We got some conversation to come. It's been an interesting 24 hours.
So you know that the trucker convoy was part, and also part of the leadership of a much broader movement of working class people all across the Western world. You're seeing that more particularly in Europe now. There were some 200,000 German farmers and assorted protesters out over the last couple of weeks. You saw very little coverage of that. The same thing is happening in Spain, it's happening in France, it's happening in Scotland. And part of the reason that it is happening is because working class people, in their implicit wisdom, have decided that they're not the problem that faces the planet, but the solution. And the truckers knew that, and they served in that function, as even Trudeau admitted not so long prior to his unforgivable, traitorous, and now deemed criminal activities, which should be treated as such.
Yep.
I thought from the beginning, More power to the truckers. I think they handled that demonstration impeccably. They timed it brilliantly. They left at the right time. They did nothing but good. And they were treated like Russian collaborators and MAGA scum, and sometimes both at the same time, because that's exactly how demented Canada is. So more power to them, and thank God for the wisdom of the federal court.
May I just add one thing? I so fervently agree with what Jordan just said, and I was mesmerized by that whole thing, and I know some of the people involved. I do think, though, there's probably too much emphasis, relatively speaking, on the Prime Minister and not enough on Chrystia Freeland, who I knew as a journalist working in Washington 20 years ago. She was at the Financial Times. And the fact that someone like that could ascend to a position of high authority in a civilized country like this is such a shocking, and I mean that. First of all, it proves the meritocracy is fake. If some mentally
random.
deficient fascist can have power over you, okay? But watching David Menzies get arrested recently for trying to ask her a question, I mean, I really feel like people need to be very direct. No, this person has no moral authority over me at all. She is not qualified to even speak to me.
Okay. Those were extremely long 2 sentences, but let's keep rolling.
But heartfelt.
Yeah, no, you guys are the right guys. I mean, I never expected you to just follow the.
I obeyed
follow the
initially.
line. Yeah, bullshit. Tucker, January 6th.
Well, January 6th was fraudulent, and it's taken me 3 years to get the full picture on that. I had that instinct. I'll just say there's nothing I can add to January 6th, which is an enormously complex series of events that still to this day is shrouded in secrecy and deception. And I know a lot about this subject. I'm from Washington. But I would just say one thing really quick. I watched that happen. I was not in Washington when it happened. I saw it on television. One of my children worked in that building, called me and said this was happening. And I instantly knew there was lying. I had no idea where it was coming from. Here's all I would say about it. If something happens in your country or in your life and your gut tells you there's something wrong with the explanation I'm getting, trust your gut. It doesn't mean that you understand what actually happened. I still don't understand what actually happened. It was a setup. I can say that conclusively. Who did it? Hard to know. The left did it, but who? But I knew right away that what they were telling me on NBC News and CNN and all the rest of the liars in my country was false. I could feel it, and I never wavered in my belief that they were lying to me, and now we know for a fact it's been documented that they were. So my advice to you would be, if you feel something is deceptive, you were given these instincts at birth. There's nothing more reliable than your intuition. It's not trying to sell you anything. It's not trying to hurt you. It's trying to save you. So don't ignore it.
Oh, yeah.
We'll wrap it up right there, gang. Aaron Canadian Looney, let me know in the comments. What do you think about Tucker Carlson? Is he outrageous or what? Dr. Jordan Peterson, hope he gets back on his feet and back to better health. That's it. Happy holidays, guys. Aaron here, Canadian Looney. Smash the like, hit subscribe. Check out one of the other videos floating around here. We'll catch you in one of the next ones. Season's greetings, folks.